LEGO Masters is a reality competition television series featuring teams creating LEGO creations. Teams are tasked with building something out of LEGO. After the teams are done building, they present their builds to two LEGO judges, who decide who has the best build and who has the worst. The team with the best build moves on, sometimes gaining some form of competitive advantage for next week, while the team with the worst build is eliminated. If you've at all been following along with the show through its first two seasons like me, you've probably asked yourself, is LEGO Masters rigged? Does the team with the best LEGO creation always win? And does the team with the worst always get eliminated? To answer these questions, let's look at how the teams are judged each episode. Each week, teams are given some form of a constraint for what LEGO creation they should build. Sometimes the constraint for what to build is thematic, like building a parade float or a LEGO wearable hat. Other times, there's a specific metric they'll be judged by, like who can build a LEGO bridge that can withstand the most weight on top of it. The episodes with a specific metric are pretty cut and dry. If your bridge is stronger than anyone else's, your team wins. However, the episodes with thematic builds offer plenty of room for subjectivity on the part of the judges. Who's to say your LEGO dragons aren't better than that serpent? It's just your opinion, right? Let's take a dive into Season 2 of LEGO Masters and see if we can make sense of what is going into the judges' decision-making process, especially in episodes featuring thematic builds. In the first few episodes of a new season, the judges and the other teams are learning about the season's contestants. It usually becomes obvious pretty quickly. Some groups are up to the task, while others are bound to be eliminated. For example, week 1 was the thematic build, Parade Float. No one was eliminated this week, and the judges' two favorite builds were both really good, featuring the best scale and the best detail. I don't think anyone can really complain about the outcome of this week when Zach and Wayne's dragons won. However, what did we learn from this episode, and how would this play into future weeks? We learned Mark and Steven and Zach and Wayne would be favorites going forward in the competition. This is very important. These two groups signal to the judges they're great LEGO builders. It tells the judges they can expect awesome builds from these two teams going forward, and awesome LEGO builds are good news for a LEGO TV show's rating. Suddenly, the judges have an interest in keeping these good teams around. They won't eliminate them if they have a bad week and their build doesn't shake out, because they know chances are next week their build would be great and they're not about to lose out on future builds because of one bad week. In week 3, Make and Shake, Mark and Steven's build did not withstand enough shaking to keep them out of the bottom 3, but while they were there, Mark and Steven weren't in any real danger. They weren't eliminated, and Zach and Tim were ousted instead. Does this rewarding good team sound familiar? It should. It's the whole idea of the golden brick. If a team wins a week where the golden brick is at stake, they get a free passive immunity in the future, where if they think their build is bad, they can use it and avoid elimination. That's right, even though the show has an overt mechanism in place for protecting top builders via the golden brick, it's completely unnecessary in practice, because this protection already exists in the show. It's hilarious that when Mark and Steven ended up using the golden brick in week 10, not only did they win the challenge, but no one was even eliminated. The show certainly isn't shy about the golden brick being little more than a gimmick. The judges simply will not eliminate good teams because their build doesn't shake out some week, at least when there are plenty of much worse teams around. Key clause, when there are plenty of much worse teams still around. At a certain point in the show, it's mostly good teams left. Being better LEGO builders than other teams is no longer enough to keep you around when you do poorly, and even, this might be the rigged part, when your build is better than other groups. Yes, worse teams can have a worse build than you, and you'll still find yourself eliminated. Why? You're not TV material. The producers haven't taken a liking to you, and you're not getting minutes on the big screen. Now, judges can't come right out and say this when they're eliminated, so they'll code this into other language. You start hearing judges saying seemingly arbitrary things like, "We don't see a story here, your build needs to tell a story." In reality, these words usually have nothing to do with your build lacking a story compared to other builders. It's just the judges signaling to the audience, your team's in trouble, not because your build is bad, but because the show producers don't think you're marketable enough to people at home watching. The three teams that did a great job of marketing themselves to the producers were Mark and Steven, Caleb and Jacob, and Natalie and Michelle. Mark and Steven were always cracking jokes. Natalie and Michelle never missed an opportunity to tease the show host Will Arnett. And Caleb and Jacob weren't afraid to get in on whatever drama the show producers were cooking up. In Week 9 Land and Sea, when Natalie and Michelle were in real trouble with the worst build, instead of being eliminated, they were saved, and Dave and Richard, who had a better build, were eliminated instead. By watching the show at these points in mind, be good builders and be TV personalities, after the first few episodes getting to know the teams, I was able to consistently predict who would be eliminated each week before watching the episode. You see, it's not about who will have the best build this episode, but who the judges cannot afford to eliminate. With this in mind, it's not hard to see why Mark and Steven ended up the winners of Season 2. They're great builders, and they also managed to capture the showrunner's attention more than any other teams. Personally, I do think they were the best team in Season 2, and I'm happy to see them win the show. However, certain weeks it just felt unfair when some teams with clearly much better builds than others were eliminated for reasons that aren't explicitly advertised as metrics for the show. I found Season 2 to be a little fairer than Season 1 was on this, but I still think that has more to do with the pool of contestants rather than the show intentionally improving on this. So is LEGO Masters rigged? Depends on how you look at it. Does the team with the best build win every week? No. Is the team with the worst build eliminated each week? Definitely not. But if your team is really good at building and you have enough of a television presence to stick around, you can expect to have a great chance of staying in it to win. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you think of this video and the LEGO Masters TV show. Do you agree with my analysis? Have you enjoyed the show? Bye-bye.